Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world.
I've been looking around for salvation. I've been looking around for the truth. All around me I see frustration, and I looked all over till I found you. I sit and listen to your stories, and you're telling me, please don't worry. A lot in this world you should know, and love in life is where you should go. If you're looking for somewhere to go, if you're looking for someone to know, if you're looking for someone to guide you, then love in life will guide you.
Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world, and welcome to tonight's live stream. Wow. Things have really happened in 2020, haven't they? Been quite an extraordinary year, believe me, quite extraordinary. But first, before we get our guest on, some news. I've been sent a couple of images of Angelo Agrisi, who is still in a critical condition. I want you to note the number of tubes attached to his body, mean he is bedbound. Let me just show you that. Despite this fact, he had 3 armed police with automatic rifles in his hospital room to ensure he did not escape. Now, let's have another look at Angelo in his hospital bed. Now, how is that guy going to walk out of hospital? And this is photos taken today. Not only were there 3 armed police with automatic rifles in his hospital room to ensure he did not escape, 6 more police were in the corridor outside. They only left after Agrisi got the bail. And the family was sent a bill for 66,000 Rand for the unnecessary and unwanted attention. Okay, now let's move on. At Brackenfell, a white man is arrested after firing shots in the air from a gun that only fires blanks. He was the only person arrested. He did this to defend himself after EFF thugs started throwing stones at him and others, while police simply watched and did not intervene. Let me show you that.
Ek het, maar as jy regte vuurwapen is 'n replika, 9mm replika, wat beteken jy skiet blanks met hom. Jy kan nie 'n projektiel, 'n lewendige projektiel skiet nie. Jy het nie 'n lisensie nodig vir my. Ek verkoop nie goed vir 'n besigheid. Ek verkoop horde se dag. Ek het hom net gevuur want hulle het na ons aangehardloop en ons met klippe begin gooi. Die polisie het ons nie eens beskerm nie. Die polisie het heeltemal weggetree. Toe kom hulle aangehardloop ons met klippe en toe skiet ek 3 skote in die lug. Toe bære ek hom dadelik. Toe hardloop hulle terug, toe kom hulle weer na ons. En dis maar al. En toe het hulle my gearresteer. Hulle gaan my aankla vir poging tot moord sê hulle. Maar ek het niemand.
Okay, I think you can see the situation there. Overt action by the police and against this guy, and nothing against the EFF who were throwing stones. I'll be putting up a video later this evening about the events that happened at Brackenfell earlier today. As per the Zondo Commission video I put up this morning, you can see the lawlessness rules now in South Africa, and the police for the most part are incompetent, poorly trained, and corrupt. Tonight we meet Fatima Abdool, who describes herself thus. She says, "I'm passionate about my country and its people. I'm an entrepreneur or multi-entrepreneur who's using the arts as a tool. I'm a social activist, an actress, a writer, director, speech and drama coach, producer, voice artist, and professional MC. And she's a mother of 2 adult children." So without any further ado, let's get Fatima on so we can have a discussion about what the heck is going on in the world today. Here we go. Hi, Fatima. Hi, Fatima. Can you hear me?
Good evening.
Hi. Good to see you, Fatima.
Can you hear me?
Now, okay,
Hello.
we had a bit of a slow.
I can see you.
Yeah, no, you won't see me because my camera's been stolen by the streaming software. Don't worry about it. I can see you and I can hear you, so everything is great. Now,
Okay, cool.
before we get started on what's happening in the world today, and in particular in South Africa, please give me a little bit of your background growing up in South Africa.
Okay. Are we recording already?
Yes, we're live.
Nice. I just made a very unflattering movement now.
That's
I
okay.
saw I was not in that position. Okay, so I grew up in the Northern Cape, and I am Afrikaans. Okay, so Afrikaans that was my first and last language. I only started speaking English here when I came to Gauteng,
Right.
and we moved to Gauteng because my mom couldn't find a job. That time it was Northern Cape, and then it changed to Bophuthatswana. So she was classified as Xhosa, and her surname was Xhosa, but she couldn't find a job there because when it became Bophuthatswana, they only gave jobs to the Tswanas.
Okay.
So then we moved to Gauteng, and she got work from her werknemers, her employers were white, and they were based on her qualifications, not her race, but the fact that she qualified for the job.
Right.
You know, and that was during the apartheid years. So that is how in the end, we ended up, settling here in Gauteng. I went to school, but I have a little bit of my own story there. She was married to an Indian man who's my father, and so I was classified Indian.
Wow.
And so
It's getting complicated.
Hello, for Indian. So she obviously wanted to enroll me at a school here in Eastrus, which is a colored neighborhood, but I wasn't accepted because my birth certificate said I'm Indian. So she went to Lorium, which is the Indian township, and there they didn't want to accept me because, hello, I don't look like the Indian children. So shame. So my mom was marching up and down with me to get my papers right. So at long last, I was classified as colored, and then I could go to school here, and that's where I, got my education, high school, etc., etc.
Right. And how did you get in the arts?
The arts got into me. It's just I was just born like that.
Right.
I know I was in primary school. These you had to do recitals of what you call that, reimpies, recitaties. I don't know what you call that in English.
Recitation.
And I sorry.
Recitation.
Yes,
yeah.
I just nailed it. I loved it. I love
Yeah.
standing in front of the children. I love people applauding me. And then I was the teacher's pet. I went from class to class and she bragged about me. And then she said to me, you know what? You are a good actress. You must do that one day. Then I forgot about it.
Can I tell you a little secret? I sometimes share secrets on my YouTube channel with my subscribers. And when I was about 8 years old, like yourself, everybody in the school had to participate in plays. And, you know, some kids were naturals. They could take the lead role and, you know, run off 300 lines right through the play and not miss a beat. Not me. I tell you what, I hated being in front of people. And that I was in a play called The Reluctant Ogre. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it was called The Reluctant Ogre, and I was Wednesday's dinner for the ogre who was the main character in the play. And I had one line to say, and that is, I'm Wednesday's dinner. And what made it easier is that Monday was before me and so was Tuesday. So Monday said, I'm Monday's dinner, I'm Tuesday's dinner. Came up to my turn, I forgot my words. That was my grand entrance onto the stage. Not so grand.
Oh, wow. So you would have been these children that play a tree or a chair somewhere.
Yeah, but the worst part was that we were dressed up as girls, you know, because I don't know why, it's how I was in the play. And I've never had a dress on in my life, never had one since, but I had my dress up around my waist because I was so nervous. Anyway,
man,
let's get back to you.
Now, you're talking. Yes.
Yeah, let's get back to you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so yeah, I got my education as a speech and drama teacher. Yeah. Oh, let me say this. So I wanted to go and study drama afterwards because my teacher said I'm a very good actress.
Right.
And so when I went to my mom to say to listen, this is what I want to do, she said to me, no, your mom, colored people don't do drama. Have you ever seen colored people on TV? And so she wanted me to become either a nurse or a teacher. You know, those were the professions that was available to us. But then, I mean, people like Charlene Soorti Richards, Vinette Ibrahim, they were on TV. They started coming on TV. They were acting on, and I always wanted to just do that.
Right.
But I didn't. I got married, 2 children, got divorced, and after the divorce, I said, okay, this is my second chance to do what I really want to do. So I did a licentiate diploma course in speech and drama teaching. I became a speech and drama teacher. But that was before the divorce. And then after the divorce, I just called an agent and I said, listen, I can act. So they said, okay, let's see what you can do. And I got a few roles, you know, it's the local soapies. And then I ended up playing the matrona on Binnenlanders for about 4 to 5 years, which was very cool. And before that, I was a radio presenter at Radio Pulpit, which is the local national Christian radio station. But I've always had a passion for what's happening in my community.
Right.
So while I was in front of cameras, I would come back home and I would start a speech and drama school, give classes in the communities, but also give children life skills so that children can learn how to act and how to be confident and how to perceive life around them and how to, embrace life, actually.
Right.
And then I started recording stuff since last year. But I created a set. Oh, I'm a producer. I write concepts. I can conceptualize stage productions, and then I put them on stage,
right,
with all the actors and artists and so on. And at the theater run, right now I'm actually busy with 2, which will be on stage on the 6th of December. It's an Afrikaans comedy, which actually talks about this whole drama that's happening in South Africa. It's done
COVID-19.
by Simon Breinders is acting in it. Very old actor. He also got an award last year. And then I have another production called Dads and Lads, which is 2 dads and their sons. That's playing musical instruments and singing. And one of the dads is the guy, remember the boy Nathaniel Julius, who was killed by a policeman
Yes.
in Eldorado Park?
Yeah.
So this one father is the guy who used to give Nathaniel his biscuit. Remember, he was eating a biscuit while he was killed.
Yeah.
So this guy, his name is Gregory Johnson. He was the guy that actually gave Nathaniel the biscuit. So their production is in a tribute to Nathaniel as well. So those are the things that I basically do. I direct and I produce. So it's still in my,
talking about the police. Let's get onto South Africa and current affairs. I don't know if you saw what happened in Brackenfell earlier today. What are your thoughts about the EFF and what they're up to?
Oh, when I saw it, I was like, yes, it's happening. I said it's going to happen. I knew someone is going to get stuck. Someone is going to be hurtful of what these guys are doing. Of all the issues that they can address, they go to a school in Cape Town and they want to address the fact that, number one, a group of children decide to host or to have their own private party, seeing that the schools are not having the matric celebration party, end of year party. These group of children decided to have their own. It's not the school that hosted it, it's the children. The other problem is that there's only 2 colored teachers, people of color at that school as teachers. But I mean, there's black teachers all over South Africa. Why single out Brackenfell? Yeah. And I think schools like Brackenfell actually want teachers that can, that are competent,
Yeah.
And the other thing is also, what was the other issue that they had? But the bottom line is, the parents said, not today, not the school. And I mean, they went there while the children are busy writing exams. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
Disrupt wanting to do. If the parents were not there, I'm just asking myself, if the parents weren't there, if they didn't stop the EFF guys moving towards the school, what would have happened? What exactly would have happened? What would they have done?
I just want to add to that, because I saw a video where a white fellow was arrested by the police for firing 3 shots into the air. And he did that because apparently EFF were throwing stones at them. Now, what he actually said was that at the time he fired the shots, which were only blanks, because he has one of his guns that only fires blanks. But at the time he fired the blanks, the police were standing back and watching the EFF basically attacking the white parents. Now, what is going on with the police in South Africa?
Look, let me just say this. It wasn't white parents. It was a group of multiracial.
There were all different colors there.
Yeah. So it was the parents taking a stance against the EFF bunch of police.
Yeah.
I also saw a video clip where the police were actually pushing back the civilians. They were pushing back the parents, and the EFF guys were just standing there, doing whatever they were doing. Come on, let's be real here. SAPS they are employed by the government. They get paid by the government. So, and EFF is part and parcel of the ANC. They can try and convince us differently. We know they are part of the ANC. So they are not going, SAPS is not going. I was part of a demonstration just after Nathaniel's death. We as a community were in solidarity with the community of Eldorado Park. We wanted to just have a demonstration where we were going to do poetry, we were going to pray, we were going to release white balloons in honor of him. Do you know what happened?
Tell me.
We were I think we were a bunch of almost 60 people.
Yeah.
Females, children, small children as small as 3 years old. We were still standing there, gathering together, getting ready for our event. Boom, SAPs pulled up with tankers, policemen getting out of the vehicles, pump action in their hands. There's actually a video clip of it. I recorded it. And they said to us, "You've got 15 minutes to get out." And I went berserk, natuurlijk.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. Why? We're not going to march. We're not going to do anything. We're not being violent. There's small children here.
Yeah.
Why are we chased away? No. And they were not even deployed from the community. They drove all the way from Mpumalanga, Polokwane, another province, to come to us.
Can they
Small
do that
group of people.
legally?
They did it. So within 15 minutes, the others joined them, and we could see they were going to shoot. The one of the ladies that was with me, she spoke to this guy that he just stood there and just said to us, "You've got 15 minutes, then you must leave." She spoke to me and he said, if you guys don't leave now within the next 2 minutes, because the 15 minutes was almost done, we are going to start shooting. So we had to just, leave everything. There was a pastor, she just prayed quickly, and then we dispersed because we were scared of the lives of the small children. So that's the length of SAPs, that I don't trust them. They are useless to us as a community, but they are absolutely playing in the hands of this filthy government.
Yeah. I just want to quickly address, we've got about 300 people watching at the moment. Guys, if you want to pose questions to Fatima, please just put them in the side chat. And please, if you haven't already done so, remember to subscribe to the Loving Life channel. We have live streams most nights at 8 p.m. Johannesburg time, and we cover a whole range of interesting subjects. And, it's lovely to meet Fatima and talk to her about her perspective on things in South Africa. And again, on the subject of the police, Fatima, there is that infamous photograph taken inside the courthouse at Senekal on the 16th of October, where they had the second protest. Remember that, where the EFF had the standoff for the farmers and so on? You know who was sitting next to Bekesele in the Senekal courthouse? Julius Malema. And they were talking to each other. Now, how does that work? You said the EFF is an arm of the ANC. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I actually call it the terrorist arm of the ANC. Tell me how.
Yes, that's exactly.
How can the EFF be anything else but terrorists when you look at what they're doing in South Africa today?
They've got I haven't seen or heard anything politically correct or politically inspired coming from them. All they do is create havoc.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never heard this Little Red Riding Hood, because that's what I call him, is like a little girl that's just throwing tantrums the whole time. I've never heard him actually make a speech that makes sense politically. And the sad thing is he's got hundreds of thousands of followers following him like dumb sheep. And most of them are unemployed. They are not from affluent backgrounds. They are not very highly educated, and they make up of like how many, I don't know percentage wise how many people, but he's got a good following, which is very dangerous.
It is,
because let me tell you this: the middle class, educated young person in South Africa don't support EFF. They don't.
So the poorer the education of the majority population, the more voters the EFF are going to get, and they tend to be the younger people as well.
Yes, because I mean, where do you find time to get into a bus and drive to Senekal during the week and do what you're doing? You're not working.
And getting 200 Rand for doing that.
Exactly. So he's living in a big house in Houghton, and all these idiots are following him. But this is just my opinion. I think he's sole modus operandi is to create division, is to create havoc,
Yeah.
and to just disrupt everything in South Africa. And the reason why the government is not saying anything is because that is exactly what they want. Why? Because they need something needs to be covered up.
Well, it's interesting that there's this new political party that's been set up called UIM, and it was set up by Neil de Beer. And, you know, he's the only guy who's actually now taking Julius Malema to court, not over hate speech and stuff like that, but because he has breached his constitutional duty as a member of parliament by making hate speech and stuff like that. And he's actually now making this, he wants a commission of inquiry into Malema. He wants all the charges against Malema brought into one particular court to be heard at one time. And he's the only guy who's really done something to put Malema on the back foot. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Go ahead.
Which is very sad. So I didn't put my phone on silence. Now I hear all these messages coming through. I hope it's not disturbing you. And I don't know how to switch it over.
No, it's okay. No, just leave it. It's fine.
Which is a very sad thing for me, because why is he the only party that's doing something against this person called Malema? Well, many other parties see and they know that this guy is violating a lot of constitutional rights. Why is this party the only one standing up?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well,
if there was
you think the Freedom Front Plus and you think the Freedom Front Plus and the DA, who are taking out or taking out charges against Malema for an act of hate speech or something like that, clearly the bigger picture is that this guy should not be a politician because he's breached the ethics of being a parliamentarian, and that's a far bigger situation.
The thing is, the name of this party doesn't even make sense, because it shouldn't even have been registered as a party. It says freedom fighters, economic freedom fighters.
Yeah.
It tells you exactly who they are. They are fighters. They are not here to do anything political.
Yeah.
Economic, I don't know how they are fighting.
They're anything but economic.
Fighting and economic in the same word, in
Yeah.
the same sentence.
Well, you've of course got the commander-in-chief, and then you got your commanders, and then you got your fighters, as Malema calls them. So the whole thing is very sus. Now let's move on a bit. Okay, we've gone 26 years into democracy. What, in your view, what do you think that has done for the people of South Africa under the ANC?
Some people have benefited a lot. Some people really have benefited economically, financially, business-wise, etc., etc. And some people have not moved an inch. They are exactly where they were prior to the new democracy. Just an example, where I grew up. I grew up in a rural area in a place called Taung, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that time it was, as I said, Northern Cape or Botswana, whatever. When I grew up, and I'm 51 years old, that place had no infrastructure. There was no streets. There was no electricity. There was no nothing. Go back there now, still the same.
Yeah.
So the elite, the chosen few, certain people, and they are all, most of them are now appearing in front of the commission, and some of them have appeared in other commissions in the past, and some of them are living in big houses. Those people benefited. I can tell you one thing: the one group of which I am part of did not benefit, and that's the minority Aboriginal people of South Africa.
Right.
They are still exactly the same.
Yeah.
In the same position where they were. So yeah.
Now
that's all I can say about it.
You just mentioned the Zondo Commission. Dudu Mnyeni last week appeared before Zondo, and Advocate Hofmeyer had her in, and she was only on camera because she said that she had contact with someone who had the coronavirus, which is a nice way of sort of saying I've got to be in isolation, and so she doesn't actually have to appear in the court. But that's another story. But Advocate Hofmeyr asked her literally hundreds of questions, and every time she said, I'm not going to answer the question because I do not want to incriminate myself. Now, but before she actually spoke, Zondo actually said that if you say that, and I think that there's compelling evidence that you should respond to, I have the power to make you respond to the question, even if you say that. He didn't do it once. And there was incredibly compelling evidence that was raised by Advocate Hofmeyr. What do you think about the whole Zondo Commission and what is its role, its real role?
So, as I think I mentioned it previously, I have the highest regard for Raymond Zondo because of where he comes from, where he is at right now. I actually spoke to
He comes from
lawyer friend of
Umzimkhulu.
mine. I'll tell you now. Sorry?
He grew up in Umzimkhulu.
Yes, but he grew up poor. His mom was a domestic worker, and I mean, from that background to where he is right now,
I just want to say something to the sorry. I just want to say something to the side chat. I'm going to put in the side chat a link to the actual transcript of what happened in the Zondo Commission late last week, where you'll see what I'm talking about, where Dudu Myeni just refuses to answer any questions. All right, sorry, back to you, Fatima.
Okay, so all these commissions, let's talk to prior to Zondo Commission. All these commissions, for me personally, and I am not an expert or a lawyer or anything, I don't see any fruit. I don't know what has happened after those people appeared in front of those commissions. I just feel it was a waste of money. It was a waste of time, and it made more for TV content than anything else, because none of those people are sitting in jail right now. Nothing happened.
That's exactly right.
So this Myeni, Dudu, she's rare fasani Dudu, but they call it in America, they call it the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah.
Am I right? So they were to remain silent, blah blah blah. So she's using that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is the fifth one. Yeah. The first one is freedom of speech. Yeah, carry on.
Yes. So she's using that right at the moment, so as not to incriminate herself. But I spoke to a friend of mine. She said that by certain things, by keeping silent, she's actually incriminating herself. Because I think the Hofmeyr, she's asking questions, but she already knows the answers, because the proof is there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the next step is going to be. And I almost understand why Zondo he's not doing anything right now, because when all the evidence and everything is put together, this Dudu will be in big. She's going to be in so much trouble, because where she should have spoken, she'll be Duduing, hopefully. But where she should have spoken, she didn't. And the evidence is there. There's affidavits against it. She could have just, I think her lawyer, her legal team said to her, don't say a word, because they knew if she opens up her mouth, big trouble, and more people will be incriminated.
Yeah. Well, I think that this is going to be the canary in the cage, because if they don't act against Dudu Myeni, they won't act against any of the other senior ANC members, because she is clearly as guilty as sin.
Absolutely. And my concern right now is Agrisi. Agrisi is in hospital. Agrisi is in ICU. And he was the whistleblower.
Yeah.
He spoke. And that's why someone like her is now in front of the commission. I'm suspecting, and I might be wrong, that why is he ill now? What's really going on? What is really going on?
Well, it was funny.
Or is it another situation like Watson?
Yeah, it's funny you raise that, because he had one night in prison, and after one night in prison, his whole system failed, and he had to be taken to hospital. And the worst part of it, and I actually talked about this before you came on, I got a couple of photographs of Agrisi in hospital from a family member earlier today. and he's got pipes coming out of his arms. He's got, he's covered in these things. They had 9 police guarding him so he wouldn't walk out of the hospital. How could a man who's that sick with all this stuff, attached to him, how could he walk out of that hospital? It was just ridiculous. Anyway.
My question, who else is in jail right now?
Well, certainly none of the ANC. And Zuma's allowed to fly to Cuba. Zuma's allowed to fly to Cuba. Why?
The inequalities, the unfairness, the injustice, it is just mind-boggling. And then there's still people that have sympathy and empathy and that are loyal to this government, giving us all sorts of, politically correct advice and stuff like that. It's rubbish.
Yeah.
Certain people are being made scapegoats, and other people just walk free. And I'll be damned if this doo-doo walks out free because she is so guilty from top to bottom.
Yeah. Well, she's a delinquent director now, but she's fighting that. Now, I want to move on to a related subject, and we're talking about the leadership in South Africa. What are your views on the leadership that we have in South Africa right now?
What leadership?
Well, good point.
Look, there are good leaders. There's a lot of good leaders. They're just not in the right position at the moment.
Well,
and the people that are in the right position, they are rotten leaders.
Yeah. Let's start off from the top. What do you think of Cyril Ramaphosa as a leader?
Oh, wow. I don't even think he's writing his own speech. I don't even think he is. He's just a puppet. I don't even have an opinion about Cyril Ramaphosa because I don't think he is really present.
Yeah.
He's not present. He's not. I mean, when this whole pandemic broke out and making statements like, I didn't realize that there was so much poverty in our country. Hello?
What planet is he going to be on?
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So no, worst choice of a president. I'm sorry.
I think Jacob Zuma just beats him by a tiny bit as when it comes to worst choice.
Yeah, well, okay. I don't. Those are names that I don't really. When I see those names, Julius Malema and what's his name, Jacob Zuma, it's like my borsrak warm. I just get very angry instinctively. You know what is the biggest reason why Little Red Riding Hood is where he is at? Number one, he's got no spiritual sense of accountability. I don't know what God he prays to. Number two, he's got no mentor. He's just shooting left, right, and center. He's just a loose cannon.
Yeah.
Same thing with Jacob Zuma. Who was his mentor? I don't know who is the mentor of Cyril Ramaphosa. So these guys come on stage. Let me speak theater terminology. They come on stage with no director. They've got no clue where to go, where to enter, what to say, what to do. They just do.
What about David Mabuza, the vice president?
We're not even aware of him.
You never see him.
Silent partner. No, he's a silent partner. You know what? There's so much silence. Nobody is saying anything about what is happening in our country in terms of our leadership. They don't speak against the atrocities and the injustices that's happening because they are part and parcel of it.
Yeah.
It's us, little people, crazy women recording stuff in their bedrooms that speaks out because no one else does.
Yeah.
And what has happened in Brackenfell, I'm just saying, so the EFF said they're coming back. Okay, so do they think that the parents are going to stay at home and say, oh no, let the EFF might come? No. That's going to be worse.
You know what I find quite remarkable, Fatima, is that I think the majority of the Bantu and Nguni people are very, very worried about what is happening in South Africa, and they don't buy in to what the EFF and the ANC are saying. And I think the problem when it comes to elections is that they are bought by free T-shirts and all of a sudden stuff being handed out to them and stuff like that. So, you know, there's this incredible dilemma facing basically the people who've got the power to vote a party in, because they can see South Africa is going completely pear-shaped. And
Yeah.
I think what exacerbates the situation is that the mainstream media are so fake. They don't actually report the news. There's no balance in what they report. So it kind of exacerbates that situation where, you know, we don't like the ANC, but who else can we vote for, sort of thing. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes. No, but that's exactly the situation right now. There's the saying, better the devil you know than the one that you don't know, but it's still the devil. So it's that scenario of, you know, here's the thing, we just don't want to go back to the apartheid years. That's the mentality, that's the notion. My daughter once said to me, Mommy, I would rather have people ruling the country like the guys that did it during the apartheid years, but without the apartheid. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there was still order, there was still structure.
Yeah.
And I mean, she's 23 years old and she's concerned about the fact that everything is going haywire. It's just hectic. There's just so much violence. GBV is not even being addressed the way it should be.
Yeah.
As females, you're not safe. You're not even safe in your own house. But those things are not being addressed. So the people they're feeling helpless. And the other problem also is there's so many political parties. If there were at least 3 strong political parties that will give this ruling party a run for their money, then it would have made them weaker. But now there's about, I don't know, 70, 100 parties. And it just makes the choice for us as voters so much difficult, because really you don't know who to vote for, because you don't trust anybody. Because for 26 years, there's still people living in shacks. There's still people unemployed. There's still people begging for food in the street.
Yeah.
Who must they vote for?
You know what I think the biggest problem was the way they actually brought in democracy in 1994. Because what happened after 1994 is you had people in ministerial positions who didn't have a clue what they were doing, and that's when the wheels fell off, like what happened to the state-owned enterprises. I think what should have happened is that for a transition period of maybe 15 years, you should have had competent ministers who might have still been from the National Party or from another political party, working side by side with the ANC counterpart, and you know, so that this guy could learn the job. It's like anything, you know, when you actually take up a trade, you go and you study. You don't just walk into that trade and have a welding machine, and you know, you can only do yourself damage, especially to your eyes. But this is what's happened to the economy in South Africa. It's been totally screwed because of the incompetence of the people running it.
I remember, I mean, okay, it's not a good memory, but I mean, I did mention it, I don't know where, that years ago, I was working for a factory or a company, and a young white person was employed, and I did the training. I taught that person the ropes and how it's done, and et cetera, et cetera. And then after a few months, that person became my manager. But at least that person knew what the hell was going on in the company. Now, people send in CVs. Let me tell you this, and this is the plight of the colored people. We send in our CVs. Yeah. Those CVs, we heard it from the mouths of HR managers. Those CVs don't even get to the table. It's been thrown into a bin, okay? Huh. So what they then do is they copy and paste. Like, let me make an example. I send in my CV, sounds with a consonant for a surname, gets the CV, copy and paste my qualifications on that name, and that person gets the work. That is why you find that someone can be a PA for a big CEO, earns 2.3 million rand, and she sits and reads a newspaper in the office.
Incredible.
That's how.
Absolutely incredible. You know, I have a term that I use on my channel. I call it black privilege. And black privilege is reflects the ANC politicians, their families, their cadres, the well-connected. It's a tiny little clique at the top. And the rest of the population is just being decimated.
Exactly. And the rest of the population, they are fighting each other now because everybody is struggling for that last piece of bone while the elite is having the meat and the fat.
And stealing.
So the small people around, they are fighting each other, and there's discrimination, there's hate speech against each other, but actually we're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat. And as you mentioned, 26 years ago, it should have been done gradually. Even the farm, the land situation, etc., that could have been done structurally, strategically, and everybody would have won. We could have taken the strengths of each and every race in South Africa, put them together, and make this country win. But no, because of greed, we are where we are right now.
Yeah. Well, you know, we were talking about the colored people or the brown people in South Africa, and they've really had the worst end of the stick pre-1994 and post-1994, because pre-1994 they weren't treated much better than the African population, and post-1994 they're now being treated like second-grade citizens like the other minority groups. So how has the impact been on you as an Aboriginal person in South Africa, you know, of what's going on in South Africa during your lifetime?
Yeah, you know, truth be told, and this is a truth that not a lot of my fellow Aboriginal people would like to acknowledge, and that is the fact that during the apartheid years, we were kind of treated differently.
Yeah.
The neighborhoods where we lived in had electricity, not all. The roads worked hard. There was stuff like swimming pools. The schools were in good condition, but we were still poor. We just handle poverty differently. We make it look glamorous. We still struggled. At school, I remember every day we were fed a small bottle of milk and a sandwich, bread and peanut butter. The black children didn't get that. The black communities didn't get that. So by creating that little bit of difference, just a little bit of preferential treatment, kind of, it actually caused a lot of hatred between the African, the blacks, and the colored people. So that today we are where we are at right now, because they feel, yeah, you were privileged, you were treated better than us. But in the meantime, we were actually in the same boat, but just a different boat.
Yeah.
And that is why we are where we are at right now. So we have to assert ourselves in such a way that, and the other thing is also, it was imprinted in our psyche that we are better. We look better, our hair is better, ons praat Afrikaans, etc., etc. And that caused the divide. I mean, I saw it in my own family.
Right.
But well, in my family, they just love me because I'm the one that glues everyone together. Kumbaya, love one another, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But it happened in families that in one family, the one that is darker had to go stay somewhere else, and the one that is lighter had to go stay somewhere else. So yeah, in that sense, it is really bad. So right now, the one plight that I have is that this group of Aboriginal people need to start uniting, because it's a very divided group.
Yeah.
Because the one group will tell you, I am Khoi, I am San,
Yeah.
I am Korana, I am
Griqua.
Griqua, I
Yeah.
am colored. And they all fall under the Kuku group. But now at the moment, it's like this strife, because one wants to be more Khoi than the other one. One wants to be more San than the other one. And they are forever fighting each other. And that while that is happening, the Julius Malemas are taking over. So
Yeah.
the idea is can we just understand that we come from different backgrounds? Because my story is different from the people that, my friend that stays here. Her coloredness is a different version from my coloredness, because that is how we are mixed race, because
Yeah.
our mixture is different.
Yeah.
And we need to understand that and accept it.
Absolutely.
Move forward.
I totally get it. Now, you touched on land. We know what's happening in South Africa. The government are trying to now bring in expropriation without compensation. Well, they're going to bring that in, which is putting a huge lot of concern into the farming community. And on top of that, you've got the farm killings issue. What are your views on what's happening in the farming community when you consider food security?
Yeah, we're very concerned about that. This afternoon, I spoke to an African guy, a black African guy, because I'm also African. Are you from Africa? You're an African. Doesn't matter what the race color you are. He said that this whole land expropriation is rubbish, because he, as a black guy, doesn't even know how to maintain his own garden. What the hell is he going to do on a farm? How is he going to farm? His explanation was that the white farmer and the black, you can say co-farmer or a worker, they need each other to make that farm work. So if they have been giving land, they've been giving farms to people.
Yeah.
Those farms are dying. Nothing is happening. It's been done, and it's been proven that it's not working, because it's a team thing. It's a collective effort to make a farm work.
Right.
So I foresee that there will be. I'm nervous that there will be a food shortage pretty soon. Our veggies and our whatever, the meat and fruit, the prices are going to be escalated.
They already are.
We're going to have, but they don't think.
Yeah.
It just boggles my mind that they don't think as far as that.
Well, some of the ministers think that the food actually just somehow appears in the shop. They don't realize it comes from a farm.
Pretty soon we're going to be like Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe is asking the farmers to come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you know that they're asking the farmers to come back? Now, why don't we learn from another country? I mean, in my yard, I've got two tenants from Zimbabwe. They ran away because there's no food. Now, the same thing is going to happen here in South Africa if we don't stop it, if nothing is done about it.
Now, it's interesting. We're talking about what happens to a farm when it's actually given to someone who really doesn't know how to make use of it. When I was in Kokstad, this was back in about 2016, I was taken through Matatiel, which is a lovely name, and it means the birds have flown. That's its actual translation of Matatiel. But Matatiel is quite close to the Drakensberg, and on the way to, it's called the Ongeluksnek, which is a very old pass that the Basotho used to use to come into what was back then in the 1800s called no man's land, and that's another story all in itself. But between Matatiel and the Ongeluksnek pass, there's this incredibly fertile area, absolutely perfect for farming. And pre the homeland policy, all that land was actually white farms. And because that area became East Griqualand, all those farms were purchased from the farmers, and African farmers were put in their place. And the guys I went with who took me up to Ongeluksnek, one of the guys had a farm, or used to have a farm there. And he said, let's go and visit my old farmhouse, because he knew the African farmer who now lived there. And it was quite extraordinary. I walked into this farmhouse, the ceiling had fallen in, the toilet, there was a chicken in the toilet, there was no water. You know, the whole house was in ruin. And this is what, 30 years after the event. And the thing that really was quite extraordinary was there was maize just on this one little piece of land that belonged to this particular farm. And I said, this guy knows what he's doing. Look, he's got maize on his land. He said, no, that's my maize. I'm actually leasing that bit of land back from him. The rest of the farmland was just grass. It had just gone to rack and ruin with the African owners. And this is what's going to happen in South Africa, in the Free State, if they hand these farms over to these guys who don't know how to actually farm. It's taken generations for these white farmers to actually work out how to make a productive farm in an area where the rainfall is not good enough. I mean, they've got windmills, they actually have all these different things to actually get water so they can water their crops, but it's taken generations to do that. So how are they going to cope?
Here's the sad thing. Black farmers, there's quite a few black farmers in South Africa.
Oh, yeah.
Doing very well.
Yeah.
But they're also being killed.
Yeah.
They've been killed. A black farmer was killed in August. So I'm trying to get my mind over why kill farmers. The other thing is also, which is also information that came to me, is that some farmers, and it's not all, and it's a minority, the damage that is done, or the farms that are burned, or the attacks, they say that some of the attacks are like it's staged because of insurance claims and so on. But that's a menial, that's like 5, I don't know how many, but it's such a small amount of farmers that are guilty of that, because there are fraudulent stuff also happening. But the majority is really a question of this hate. Hate speech is something that stays here in your psyche, and you are so inspired by whatever you heard from a leader that you end up doing it.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, some people say, yes, farmers are abusing some of the farm workers, but I'm saying then go to the police, make a case, and let the law take its course. And the other thing is also a question of these farms that's now owned by the farmers, the white farmers. Where did they buy it from? That's the question. Because a lot of the Aborigine, the Khoi, the Griqua, and because I was in Daniel's Scale, where the Griqua chief showed me the land that was owned by, their predecessors or their ancestors and so on, which is now no longer in their hands. And they stay now in squatter camps. They are the poorest of the poor. Even the Tswanas are richer than them. So those things needs to be rectified. Let's go right back to the 1914s or the 14th century or 15th century, somewhere there, before even Uncle Jan van Riebeeck came here. So those things has to be rectified, because here's the thing. The EFF is saying, give back the land. The Aboriginal people are saying, we give it back to who?
Yeah. Because it belongs to the Aboriginal people, not the Bantu people. Yeah. Now, exactly. I want to just quickly address the sidetrack. You just mentioned Jan van Riebeeck. We got a well-known subscriber who has the title Jan van Riebeeck, and he says he's had a terrible day. Jan, I hope everything's okay with you, buddy. He's a really, really good man. But getting back to Daniel's cow, that is between Griquatown and Kuruman. And I don't know if you know where the name comes from.
They told me the story.
I'll
but I
tell you
don't
the
remember
story.
now.
There's a pit.
Yeah.
There's a pit actually on the boundary
Yes.
of
We were
Daniel's
there. We
Kale,
were there.
and
But
that
yeah.
was called Daniel's Pit
Yes.
or Daniel's Kale. And what they used to do, this is the suggestion, is if someone had in the community had done something wrong, they would actually put him in
Yes.
that pit for the night, where there were apparently poisonous snakes, and if this guy was
Yeah.
bitten by a poisonous snake overnight, well, then he was guilty. But if he wasn't, they would pull him out the next day, and he would be innocent. I don't know if you heard that story.
Yeah, no, I did. I just forgot. We went there in 2017. I went there with Bart de Graaf, who is he's a historian from the Netherlands,
Right.
and he was writing the stories of Barendse, and we actually went to the Kale itself, the pit, and it is now, they've got a fence around it.
Yes.
But it's unkept. You can't even. We tried with the what you call this thing. Yeah, Odrom is terrible. The camera with that flies in the air. What you call
the
it?
drone.
The drone, yeah. We tried with the drone to let it descend almost at the opening of the Kale, but we couldn't see anything. But yeah, no, I remember it. It's and the sad thing is there's so much history there.
This is what I was just thinking.
Yeah.
There is so much history that is getting lost. It is so sad. A lot of the museums, like in Kokstad now, they've got African curators. And in the Mary Moffat Museum in Grikwaton, as an example, when the curator who had looked after the Mary Moffat Museum for 30 years reached retirement age, she was told to, just leave. And they put the cleaner in as the curator. This is what's happening to South African history. It is just absolutely crazy.
Goodness.
Now, let's
and it's
move.
not use. We just want to wipe out our history, because if we don't know our history as
we
a collective,
learn from history.
Exactly. And we don't make the same mistakes that we did in the past, and we can hold and can tell the story.
Yeah,
that's the thing. We can tell the story. This is what happened, and this is where we are at right now.
Now, just on that particular subject, how does the past impact the present?
It impacts it depends how you want it to impact you. My past, I could sit here as a better woman because of, what has happened to me in the past, the fact that I was Indian and then colored, and then I grew up where I was growing up, etc., etc. But I used the past to propel me to my future. I've used the past as a. If we carry on looking at the past, because of apartheid, you don't know how we feel, how the white people made us feel years ago, blah, blah, blah. If we're going to sit there and park there, we will never move forward. Yes, the shit happened. Yes, it was bad. But my goodness, we've got a second chance to make this work. And together in this democratic country, we can make it work. So what I'm saying is use the past to propel you to a better future.
Yeah.
Don't park in the past and be bitter because of the past. Because it is the past.
Yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying. How about the present impacting the future? What do you see in the future for South Africa?
I don't know if it was yesterday or today. I said that if we don't fix the present, if this generation, my generation, your generation, if we don't fix the present, the current situation, the future is bleak. The future is going to be a problem for us. Because if we mess up this right now, the adults who will be our age in the next 40 years, because 40 years is a generation, we will be the senior citizens. And what will they give us back? Because we messed up now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really is the sins of the parent, isn't it? Now,
Exactly.
Bruce Bastos has asked a question in the side chat I'd like to put to you. He says, does Fatima agree with secession? Will she work with Cape Exit, for example?
What is that?
Secession, that's where the Western Cape, for example, might break away from the rest of South Africa and set up its own independent state.
No. No, I wouldn't be. It's just not gonna. I can't even imagine that. No, I want the whole of South Africa. I want to be part of the whole of South Africa. I can never be part of a breakaway group. I can't even identify with Cape Town because I am not Cape Townian. I am from the inland.
Yeah.
No,
the reason he's asked that question is because there are quite a few groups or organizations that are looking at trying to secede. In fact, one of them is the Khoi King. He calls himself the King, King Cornelius, who's actually officially, according to the Khoi, the Cape is now actually seceded from the rest of South Africa, but it's kind of nothing's happened. Yeah. Now, looking to the future. Yeah, carry on.
No, I've been invited. After that the video of mine got viral, I got a lot of invitations to join different groups and so on and so on. But that is I would rather stick around here and try and unite this bigger South Africa than to break away and create no. We are to our group, me specifically, I am too integrated into all the other race groups to want to separate myself. Yeah.
Yep, I hear what you're saying. Now, talking about the future, there's supposed to be elections in 2021. Do you think that they're actually going to happen, or do you think that the ANC government will find a way to try and get out of having those elections in 2021?
They can try, but they're not going to get it right. You see, our people are woke. That's the saying. The people have woken up. We see the ANC for who they are. The new kids on the block are aggressive, not physically aggressive, but they're pushing their agenda. There will be an election, but stuff happening prior to the election is going to be very interesting. There's going to be a lot of interesting drama, floor crossings, coalitions, collaborations, because I think the minority groups, they realized, and when I'm talking about minority groups, the Indians, the white, and the coloreds, and I must add, a lot of educated blacks realize that the ANC, they are a bunch of crooks.
Right.
So they will align themselves, they will group themselves against the ANC. The ANC will try to juggle the system, but they're not going to get it right. Because I think the eyes of, international eyes are on South Africa.
Right. Now, just talking about the election, I mean, we had the election last week in the United States, where now there's a lot of talk of there being fraud all over the place. There's the reason why Joe Biden won and not Donald Trump. Now, it's a wait and see, because apparently they're going to take up legal action today, the Republicans. But when we talk about the elections in South Africa, do you think there's fraud by the ruling party, the ANC, to bolster their votes? Do you think that actually happens?
It's a yes from me. It's a definite yes. It has happened. It has happened. Yeah, all I can say, it happened. I was witness to it a long time ago when I was one of the officials or one of the people that was helping out.
Yeah.
I don't know, the IEC, my own eyes. They are going to try and do it again.
So
It's the
what
name of the
did you
game.
witness?
They don't know how to play fair.
What did you witness?
How ballot papers were added into boxes. You didn't see people physically. You saw the boxes where people put papers in
Right.
after voting, and then suddenly other papers also appear. And when you ask, where did these papers come from? Because we were all watching each other because we were supposed to see that, there's no rigging and so on.
Right.
And you told, no, don't worry, we're taking care of this. We don't know where those ballot papers come from.
Right. Yeah, look, I think that's
Yeah.
going to be a huge problem. Now,
Yeah.
we've been going for 70 minutes, so this has been a very interesting discussion, and I love getting your perspective on things, Fatima. That's great. Now, ICAT has said, and this is just another, it's like a secession again. ICAT says, what about Agricoland independence? Now, they're actually...
The Greek ones have also mixed with everyone else.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
I'll tell you what the technical problem with that is, ICAT. The Griquas at some time or other have actually claimed, for example, the East Griqualand, where the Kimberley Diamond Mine is, for their own. They were the first people to come up from the Cape and settle north of the Orange River back in the very early 1800s. And they had this huge territory called West Griqualand. And then under Adam Cock III, they moved into the Free State, where they actually had that as part of their territory back in the early 1820s. But then the Voortrekkers came through and kicked them out. That's when they went over the Ongeluk through Lesotho into what became East Griqualand. So your two territories, if you're going to have an independent Griqua state, would be Griqualand West, and which is where Griqua town is today, and East Griqualand, which is where Kokstad is today. So you'd have two very, very different areas that would be part of an independent Griqualand state. Over to you.
And they don't even see eye to eye.
Oh no, the Griquas, they're factions indeed.
Yeah. What are they? When we were in Danielscale, there was this lady. She was the daughter of some chief and whatever, and she said, all they want is to get Danielscale back. They want Danielscale back. And I said, okay. So what are you going to do with Danielscale when you get it back? How about saying, all I want is to be part and parcel of governing Danielscale. I want to sit on the board of directors of whatever, the municipality, etc., so that you can make decisions on behalf of the Griqua people. How about that? And she said, no, I want Danielscale back. And I said, well, jy kan dit op jou maag skryf. It's not going to happen. Time to wake up. We need to take another approach and think collectively and integrate with, the system. Because like in Kuruma, this one chief, also a Greek one, all he did, or is it Koi, I don't remember. What he did was he sat around a table and negotiated with the powers that be, which is the ANC councillor, which is a very fair, not council, I don't know what the title is. But in the end, the bottom line is he was given land.
Yeah.
Because he could prove that this land actually belonged to my ancestors. He was given the land, he was given funding to do development and to build houses, and they are still in the process of creating jobs, setting up schools in. Because his approach wasn't, I want the whole of Kuruman. we can't have that type of mentality right now by saying I want this and I want that, and I'm excluding this group and I'm excluding that group. That is where the problem is. When people start thinking selfishly,
Yeah.
then nobody's going to win.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Now, just thinking about South Africa today, in 1994, the whole vision was a rainbow nation.
Sure.
Is there a rainbow nation, or is that a far-fetched dream? And if it is a far-fetched dream, can we ever go back to having a rainbow nation, do you think?
The rainbow is gone. There's no rainbow nation. I don't see the rainbow nation. I see a people not struggling, fighting for their space under the sun, because the rainbow's gone. It's now just the sun that's left, and everyone is fighting for a space under the sun. But I think if we have more dialogue, just human dialogue, telling each other the truth about our own stories, about the past, about the journey that has brought us to where we are at. No politician must be involved, because they mess up. I don't know why politicians are so wayward, but just the normal citizens talking to one another. And then we will find out that our journeys might have been in different lanes, but we were all on the same journey. Or maybe on the same river. The boats were just different, but the river is the same. And if we can exchange those experiences and also repent and ask for forgiveness for the wrongs that we have done to one another. Ek slaan nou hand in eie bosom. When I came to this little township, look, where I grew up amongst my black cousins and friends. But when I came here, I found black people working for colored people. And some colored people really didn't treat the black people that were working for them right.
Right.
They were really being abusive. They were really treating them like second-hand citizens. So those wrongs has to be corrected. That forgiveness needs to be asked. That genuine reconciliation, not in a church kumbaya, we all pray for one another and happy-go-lucky, there we go. No, real engagements with one another. I think then we can move forward. But it took us 26 years. We missed all of that. I don't know how we're going to catch up. There's a backlog with that is concerned.
Well, I have in recent weeks had two Africans on a live stream, two different Africans, and they both lived in townships. And I asked the question, I said, has the racial divide, or has the hatred against minority groups in the townships grown over recent years, when you've got the message that Julius Malema is putting out? And they both said definitely. They said there's a growing hatred against the minority groups in the townships.
Absolutely.
Have you heard that?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree with them. And I think it's social media that's making it more visible.
Right.
Because people they say what they want to say on social media. Now we at least, maybe the racial divide has always, of course it has always been there, but it's like it has intensified and it's more direct. People don't consider each other's feelings and emotions anymore. They just don't care.
Well, I hear it from so many.
But here's the sad.
Go ahead.
Here's the sad thing. From the outside, we are one people.
Yeah.
Especially black and colored. They don't see the difference.
Yeah.
And the hatred comes more from the black people towards the colored people because of what happened in the past. Myself personally, myself and I, myself and I, haven't really experienced racial hatred so much now from the white people, because I think they are more in a space of, you know what, we just want to get through this. We just want to continue and have a better life as South Africans. And I'm making a general statement because that's what I've experienced.
Right. Well, I have to tell you that some of my subscribers have said to me that in recent years, sometimes when they go into a shop and the Africans look at them with this sort of disdain, you know, this like dislike, you know, this, you can see this open antagonism. And this is very, very concerning. How do we go about bringing an interracial dialogue to fix this? How can we heal? And Viking made a really interesting comment in the side chat. He says, the whole world needs a heart transplant. And, you know, there's clearly in South Africa, how do we fix this with interracial dialogue?
I don't think this is just me. It's something that, as I mentioned before, 40 years is a generation. I think the next generation, I don't think it's going, let me put it this way, I don't think our generation will nail it. Not now. We might we might start engaging and start with the dialogue, and we will still differ years from now. But I think the next generation, which is my daughter's generation, they will see the fruits. But we have to start engaging. We have to have these type of dialogues and see from the next person's point of view.
Right.
What their journeys was all about. Because if I keep on seeing from my point of view, I will never see the point of view of the next person. And we're not going to be tolerant of one another's situations. I mean, today, my tenant, who's the Zimbabwean lady, she's having it hard. She's got 3 children. She's a single mother. She plats people's hair. She had to leave, and her 2 children were at school. So what does she do with the
Sorry, guys, we just got a glitch here with the internet. Gotta love the South African internet, haven't you? Fatima, I don't know if you can hear me, but at the moment your internet is very, very weak. We can't hear you at all. Let's just hope it comes back. Okay, while I'm just waiting for Fatima to come back, I'm just going to have a quick look at the side chat to see what's going on there. Okay. Okay, Boulder says, I get concerned whenever I see AOC, Omar and Kamala with all their promises, and then I think what has happened here with the ANC and what they have done to South Africa. The US must wake up. I totally agree with you. Now, we seem to be still having problems here with Fatima. Okay, well, I'll give it another minute, see if it comes right. Yeah, Mervyn says most Africans even blame the younger white generation for what their fathers went through, which is crazy because they weren't even born at that time. That's exactly on the money. Okay, I think we might have to restart this Skype. Let me just see if this is going to...
I-
This is crazy. I've never seen it go this long like this.
Can-
Yeah, Marlena says Fatima frozen in time. Okay, let me just see if I can restart Fatima. I might just have to shut down and restart. I hope she realizes I've done this because Fatima, if you can hear me, I'm going to shut down the Skype and start it again because we got a very, very poor connection. Okay, so I'm just going to shut it down. Just watch out for the shutdown and then watch for another call coming through. Hi Mervyn, welcome to the Loving Life side chat, the Loving Life family. Okay, guys, I'm not sure if this is going to work. I'll give it a couple more tries, and if it doesn't, we'll wind up the live stream for tonight. But I hope you've enjoyed the discussion because it's great to get other people's perspectives on what they think is happening in South Africa, and that's very, very important. Okay, guys, I think we've lost Fatima. I'm going to wrap up the live stream. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you so much to the moderators for the excellent work that you do. I really appreciate you know, the work that you do. I'm going to give her one last try, and if she doesn't come on, then we'll wrap this up. Okay. Yeah, I think we've lost the signal from wherever she is. All right, guys, take care, and I'll leave the side chat open for a few minutes so you guys can talk. Bye for now. And don't forget, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Johannesburg time, I'm talking